welcome back to Behind the Wings. I'm Lizzie, the SAAC president.
I'm Chris Hoover, the SAAC vice president, and we're here with our guest, the wrestling coach, Coach G. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, so like always, we are going to start with our recap, and Chris is going to take it away first for us.
For once.
For once, yes.
So for women's basketball, we had a game against West Virginia Wesleyan where we won 75-46. The 22nd ranked Fairmont State University women's basketball hit the road for their regular season final against Frostburg State University. The Falcons were able to battle through overtime to defeat the Bobcats 92-82. Leslie Huffman, who helped lead her team to the Mountain East Conference regular season championship, has been named the MEC Women's Basketball Player of the Year and first team All-MEC per a vote of the league's head coaches. Stephanie Anderson was selected as MEC Coach of the Year by her peers, and the Falcons are 24-4 overall with 17-3 in conference play and enter the MEC basketball tournament as the overall seed. Fairmont State just finished 4 games ahead of a pair of second-place teams in the final standings. Also joining the two with postseason accolades were Alyssa D'Angelo with first-team MEC and Jalen Gibbs with second-team MEC. Moving to men's basketball, Fairmont State trounces the Bobcats close to our home.
Fun word. Okay.
Close out home schedule. 96-66. The 13th ranked Fairmont State University men's basketball team wraps up regular season play at Frostburg State University. The Falcons were able to top the Bobcats 95-88. Men's basketball had Falcons earned MEC accolades. David Jollander was named to the All-MEC first team. Andre Harris, second team All-Conference, and Tommy Williams named honorable mention. And then for swimming, Patrick Snively returns to Fairmont State University as the head coach.
All right, and moving to softball, Fairmont State University softball team opened the home portion of its schedule against Pace University. The Falcons sadly fell in both games to the Setters 3-1 and 9-1. The team then hit the road to face Seton Hill University, and the Falcons were able to sweep the Griffins 6-2 and 11-2. The baseball team opened up the home campaign against Lock Haven University. The Falcons fell to the Bald Eagles 9-1. The team battled Lock Haven University again on the final game of the series. The Falcons were again bested by the Bald Eagles 7-1. They continued play facing Indiana University of Pennsylvania in the final game of the weekend. The Falcons fell to the Crimson Hawks 8-3. They ventured north for a midweek matchup with Clarion University, and the Falcons were able to outscore the Golden Eagles 15-13. For acrobatics and tumbling, they were able to top West Virginia State, and the Falcons took them down with a score of 257.91 to 186.015. Katie Cole was the MEC Acrobatics and Tumbling Athlete of the Week honoree. It's the second weekly honor of the season for Katie Cole and graduate student top and tumbler from Hartville, Ohio. And ending our recap with wrestling, the Fairmont State University wrestling team competed at the NCAA Division II Super Region 1 Championships inside of the Joe Retton Arena. The Falcons made program history as Colton Stone King and Austin Gibson qualified for the NCAA National Tournament. It is the first time in program history that the Falcons have had 2 wrestlers qualify for the National Tournament in the same year.
What a weekend.
So, Coach, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, we'll kick it off there. I mean, it was really fun to host in Joe Retton Arena. Obviously, when you host regionals, it's a lot more extra work. You know,
Yes.
Shout out to our administration for the support. Ryan Courtney really took a lead role of helping out. West Virginia University actually was really nice lending mats to us. We had a beautiful setup in the gym, and 12 teams came in, battled it out. I thought overall we competed pretty well. We actually finished with 3 places overall. Senior Nate Pileski took 5th.
Awesome.
Capping off his career, you know, just a tremendous captain and leader for our program. But yeah, I mean, can't really, besides Pileski not making it, obviously you want to win as much as you can. I mean, you can't really ask for a better day, especially when Gibson capped it off with that buzzer beater takedown.
Yeah.
It's one of the loudest I heard inside Joe Retton Arena, especially for wrestling at least. So,
Yeah.
you know, having that extra support at home, all the guys there, they're really supportive all day. And it was just a fun day, a long day, but it was a lot of fun. And we were excited for Indianapolis next week coming up.
That's actually really, really cool. I know we hosted nationals for acro, and the energy in the Joe was insane.
That was a lot of fun last year.
Yes, and so I know it's very similar, especially with it being like an NCAA sport and everything. I could only imagine the energy in that arena and gym. And I walked in there for like athletic training or something, and it looked really, really nice. Like the mats were all. It was just really cool. I don't know. It makes me happy when Fairmont gets to host big things like that. And especially for wrestling. Like we were just talking before this, wrestling's a newer sport here. So like it's cool that we're able to get that recognition and get people on the map for nationals. That's just so cool to me.
Yeah, for sure. And then before you go, it's like kind of a good neutral location for our region. I mean, I think the fathers teams, East Stroudsburg, up that way, but an AIC actually, they're up in Boston too. But for like the PSAC schools and the MEC schools that are in our region, it couldn't have worked out any better.
Central, yeah.
I think too, just to go back, it's really exciting to see you guys get to do this, especially for the wrestling team. I think the wrestlers are some of the most focused guys on this campus because, I mean, every single athlete has to focus on all aspects of their life to center it around their sport. But wrestling, I feel more than any, they have to put in extra care, extra focus and consideration to see that success. So it is just really exciting to get to see you guys have such a good close to the season before nationals, of course.
Yeah, for sure. We got another week to make some more noise. Hopefully we get 2 on the podium. Stone King should be ranked or seated pretty high, so I think he has a good shot to win it. And then with Gibson, if he wrestles like he can definitely make some noise. He can wrestle with all of them. He's really athletic. He has experience. He made nationals 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. So how it works is Stone King will probably be a top 8 seed, so we'll know where he's at in the bracket. Gibson will be a random draw. So they only seed the top 8, and then everything is random draw. Yeah. So we find out actually today at noon where they're at in the brackets.
That's exciting.
That's and I know this is filmed and posted at a different time. That's in probably 45 minutes. So I'm sure you're on the edge of your seat waiting for that notification.
Yes.
So we'll try to get done and out of here.
Yes, we got a few things going. We got that coming up, but the guys are actually setting up for the cheer competition. So pretty busy day.
Oh, yes. All the things.
A lot, like you said earlier, a busy March. So it's the best time of the year, I think. So.
Yeah.
Definitely.
All right. So we're going to kind of get into more of the interview portion where we're asking questions. That was a great recap. It's really, really cool to talk about wrestling, especially because it's newer to Fairmont. So with that, how did you end up here at Fairmont, and what inspired you to become a wrestling coach? So, the background question,
Okay, so how I wound up here, we'll go with that one first.
Yeah.
I was at a school probably about 45 minutes north, Waynesburg University. It's a small D3 school. I played college football, and I wrestled there, and then I coached there for 5 years. And then when I saw the program was added, I'm like, oh, that could be a really good spot to coach at. But, I was an alumni at Waynesburg. I really didn't think anything of it. And then it was kind of random in the summer when the old coach left. He went to Limestone. And it was kind of like a transition time, kind of like my head coach that I was with at Waynesburg just retired. I thought this could have been a really good situation as well. So I, kind of threw, my hat in the ring and applied, and everything kind of, worked out, and I couldn't be happier. Just location. Me and my family was already living in Morgantown as well.
Yeah.
So instead of going a half hour north, I'm just going a half hour south now. So really couldn't have worked out any better, and, super excited to be here for sure with that.
I love that.
And I remember whenever you got the head coaching job, I heard from a handful of the wrestlers, they were all very, very excited.
Yeah,
in anticipation.
Yeah, it's funny because so I got hired late July, and then August that year, we actually started classes the first week in August that year.
Yep.
So I was scrambling trying to get kids eligible and trying to secure the recruiting class still because luckily I had the assistant coach at the time, John Ferens, who helped with recruiting. He got retained on staff, and that kind of helped with the transition. But I still just wanted to make sure these kids were still coming because they had a pretty big class coming. I think it was close to 20 guys. Wow. It was a total reset, total rebuild. And I was just blessed, to be a part of that. And I think, through that, I think 6 guys graduated this year. Some graduated last year. So the transition worked out great. And, I couldn't ask for it to be any better. Actually, Travis Hinkle, the volleyball coach, right across the hall from me, and Danielle, your guys' coach. They probably got annoyed with me at how many questions I kept asking because there's actually a lot of different rules in Division II. There is the D3. There's no eligibility center in D3. So that was brand new to me. So I didn't know. Brian Spitzer was a big help to that as well. He's like, yeah, you see this list of all the kids coming in? Well, you got to make sure you do this so they can arrest you. Yeah. So it was a lot of scrambling. We figured it out and hit the ground running year one. Went a lot better than I thought it was going to go. We set a dual meets win record. We won some in the nationals. We had our best performance in conference history. I ended up winning Coach of the Year the first year.
That's
so
awesome.
It was kind of thank you. It was kind of like a whirlwind of everything happening at once. So now we kind of got the foundation, the consistency, the culture, and stability to keep moving forward.
That's awesome. I love that.
So on to our next one. You talked earlier about senior Nate Pileski, and I saw the Instagram post
Yes.
kind of shouting him out and
Yes.
his leadership over the team.
Yes.
How do you as a coach foster and develop leadership within your team?
I kind of, give our leaders like a lot of leeway. I kind of give some hints and pointers here and there, but I think the best is kind of more of a hands-off approach, because how they become leaders is, how they do it.
Yeah.
You don't want to force it on them. And especially the guys already hear my voice enough. They want to hear like a Nate Pileski or a Stone King or a Gibson or something like that to get them motivated and push through. So we do some great sports psych sessions now.
Yeah.
We have a full-time sports psych on campus. So, that's really helpful. But, just trying to, I try to lead by example of being a good role model and lead by example. And I feel like the guys follow suit. And, they have done a great job within our program and inside of our culture to lead that way on and off the mat.
Yeah,
I
I feel like what Chris was kind of talking about earlier with like this, your team just seems like the most active and motivated on campus, which, I mean, all teams are active and motivated,
Right.
but like yours really stands out in my eyes. And I think almost with that mentality, it has to be coming from your leaders, and it proves that you're leading by a great example, because your team is doing the things that a lot of teams strive to do, and your leaders are helping their teammates get to that point.
Yeah.
So it's really, really awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I think like with the FCA and obviously within SAAC, other things around campus, I try to tell them to get involved in that stuff, because that's how you get people in the stands. They don't just see you as a wrestler, they see you as a human being. And I think that's, a really important aspect. Like, for you guys that know, I play pickleball a lot in the Falcon Center, and I had like people I played pickle with, like, just kind of friendly with, like, they came to watch regionals. And that goes a long way. Some of them were like, I don't know if we could take wrestling, a little intense, but it was good. I appreciate everyone's support. And I got interviewed for a Day of Giving, which I know you're going to get into later. But Mike Davis said, what makes it special here? And I think it's just the community.
Yep.
So.
And I think that's the big thing. We can kind of go into our little Day of Giving here, a little sidebar, but Day of Giving did happen.
Yes.
It was super successful.
As a whole, the university raised over $700,000 with nearly $250,000 of that going to athletics. So thank you so much to all the donors, for everyone who has Fairmont State in your heart and wants to see this place succeed.
Yes.
We appreciate you. This could not happen without you guys.
Yes.
It goes a long way for everyone, all the programs,
it's
the
so
school.
helpful.
Yeah.
And it continues to build on that community. It's an actual visual representation of that community Fairmont has behind us. So it's really awesome. But enough of that sidebar.
Yeah.
But thank you, everybody.
No,
it was
thank
awesome.
you for sure.
It was
and,
the best
and,
ever.
I think you said what got me into coaching.
Yeah.
A biggest thing I would say, my whole life I've been blessed with really good coaching. I've been a lot of good winning programs. First one that comes to mind, obviously my dad. He was an amazing coach. His big sport was baseball. Actually, he was a terrific baseball coach, and just being in the dugouts, being bat boy, just being around the team. That made me kind of fall in love with sports. And he coached me in a lot of sports growing up, and just seeing how he coached and he taught his athletes and stuff. That's something I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And then my oldest brother Benny. So I have a twin. Then I have a brother that's a year older. I do have a twin.
That's fun.
He's a college wrestling coach as well.
Wow.
And then I have another brother, played football in college. He's actually the assistant athletic director at Robert Morris right now.
Wow.
But then my oldest brother, Benny, he's the one that really got into the wrestling. But my dad actually played basketball. Wow. And he got into it. He had a lot of success. It got us into it through the youth range. And my brother, Benny, is another big one that, really helped us, not just like our whole lives, but with wrestling, with life, really.
Yeah.
And then I have my high school coach is in the High School Coach Hall of Fame. He's been at my high school for forever. The Hop Hog Eagles, Coach Messina does a great job there. I had another club coach, Coach Roy Rodas. He was an amazing coach. I mean, the list goes on and on. Yeah. And with college, Coach Ron Headley's in the College Hall of Fame as well. Wow. So I had a lot of great mentorship and leaders in my life, and I just really fell in love with how wrestling grows you as a person, and I wanted to do that for young men.
I love that. That always makes me smile to hear the impact coaches have had on our coaches, and like how you guys all came to be here. And kind of with that, wrestling's been in your life for a really long time. How has the sport changed from when you were an athlete, and what changes do you see coming or hope to see in the sport?
Well, I see good and bad. I'm sure, with the NIL stuff, you guys see that. I think that's actually going to hurt wrestling more on the D1 side. I think you're going to see a lot of programs either transition to D2 or drop, unfortunately. But the growth of the sport is tremendous. I mean, the kids now, even little kids, they're really good.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much access now to watch film, technique. Flow wrestling's the big one, but everything's on YouTube.
Yeah.
There's so many good club coaches. There's so many good high school coaches. So, when you see, freshmen come into college and do amazing things, it's not really out of the ordinary now for wrestlers. They really hit the ground running, and the technique, the level of wrestling is at such a high level. And actually, as a whole, within the USA Wrestling Organization, couldn't really be at a better place.
Awesome.
Hopefully we can figure this NIL stuff out. We do have a great leader in Mike Moyer. He runs the NWC, National Wrestling Coach Association, and I know he'll do a great job figuring out how to fix our problems. But just from that standpoint, the technique and the skill set for these kids, at a very young age, to middle school, to high school, to then college, I mean, it's off the charts. Yeah,
makes your job a little easier too.
It does.
Coming in with that
makes
good
it good,
technique.
in a way, recruiting wise.
Yes.
It's easier to kind of target kids. It also makes it tough too, because then a lot of them want to go D1.
Yes.
Yeah.
You make it. Great point there, because D1 is the thing.
Yes,
apparently,
for sure.
I love D2 though.
Yes.
I'm gonna jump around a little
That's
bit
fine.
just so we don't, because I think this flows. Speaking of this young talent, what advice would you give to a young wrestler hoping to wrestle in college? And what is the biggest transition from high school or club wrestling to college wrestling?
I think the biggest thing is just have fun with it. Wrestling is probably the toughest sport out there, not just from a physical standpoint, but mentally too.
Yeah.
It really drains you. So if you can find ways to have fun with it, I see a big transition of people not cutting weight as much. Like back in the day, cutting weight 20 pounds
thing.
a week, that was a thing. Now, it's better to stay up and have fun, eat, lift. So I think if you don't have to cut weight, then don't. Just have fun with it. Listen to your coaches, get to as many camps as clinics as you can. There's so many opportunities for these guys. And that the biggest transition from high school to college is the mat wrestling. Most of the time when you recruit a high level kid, they're not on the mat much. They're either taking you down, pinning you, attacking you. So they're not underneath much on bottom.
Yeah.
And when you get to college, someone's going to be good on top and someone's going to be, pounding to the mat, and you got to figure out how to get out. So focus on the mat wrestling. That's the biggest transition, because in high school, there's no riding time. So in college, there's riding time. You get a point added
I did know this.
in college. So that's a little bit. Now they finally, I'm so happy they did it in high school. They changed the high school rules to more college.
Oh, that's good.
So in the past, it was totally different. The out of bounds rule was different. The stalling calls were different. Everything was different. So now the only difference is there's no riding time and the 3-point takedown, the out of bounds line, the stall calls. So I think that will help with the transition to college.
I think that will really help too, because then kids are familiar with the rules. It's not like they've done this sport, but there's little intricacies they're not aware of anymore. They're starting to feel those in high school, and once they get to college, they'll be pros at it. You know,
for sure.
Hopefully.
That's honestly a piece with swimming. I would never even consider that. I mean, it's just the same sport, just in a different pool. So that is really cool to hear that there's an extra added layer of the transition to that.
Yeah, definitely.
And I mean, I get that being from acro. I did a completely different sport before coming here, and that transition is really difficult. Even minor things like rules, and if you're not aware of them, that could really hurt your game. And I think you being aware of that and seeing that those changes are being made in high school is super important, and it shows that you're paying attention and doing the things to make sure your program's good.
Yeah, I like to try and stay on top of things for sure.
Yes, and little things like that, I feel like people don't think about necessarily. You're just thinking about what's happening in college, and that's how it is. But recruiting is half the battle, and if you know what your kids are getting into and feeling in high school, it's way easier to coach them when they get here.
Yeah, definitely.
I love that. Let's do, okay, I've read this one earlier, and I really, really like this question, but how do you balance the individual nature of your sport and the team aspect?
So, it's very difficult, obviously, because when you're out there, it's just one-on-one. But I think, like I said earlier in the show, Gibson, I think winning that match was the team around the mat cheering him on,
Yeah, I saw
telling
that
him to
video.
go, take them down and stuff. So we do a great job of making sure the bench or the guys that are around, like they're always in the corner.
Engaged,
So in wrestling, you only have 2 coaches in a corner and a trainer. But when you go out, you can go outside the mat. Everyone could be there. So usually if you see us compete, everyone's around the corner cheering on their guys. And they do a really good job with that. With the dual meet format, it's a little bit easier because that is kind of a team score.
Yeah.
So that's an easy transition for it. But, we really believe that we're a family, and I think that goes a long way.
Yeah.
We do a lot of great team building activities throughout the year. We do a Spartan race.
Yes.
I have the guys over my house for a Christmas party. We went to the New York City trip this year.
Yeah.
So we try to do stuff like that to incorporate all the guys. Because like right now it is tough. Like just Stone King and Gibson, they're the only ones left.
Yeah.
But this whole week of practice, everyone's been in the room.
That's awesome.
Supporting him,
phenomenal.
working with them. And I think that just shows how far we come as a culture.
Yeah. I think the way you describe that culture makes me want to join the wrestling team and be a part of it. Like I want to go do those things and have that team behind me. And I do have that team behind me, but you make it sound fun.
Yeah. That's what we try to do. We try to make it fun. Like we try to do like one fun trip a year. Like New York City obviously was the big one. This one and went really well. But yeah, I mean, you're only as good as like the people surrounding you. So if you get everyone surrounding you, and I think, not just within our program, but I think outside looking in, everyone's starting to catch on to that because we have a really good recruiting class coming in. Very good.
It's very obvious, and we see the work you guys put in. It's awesome.
Well, and I think even how we were talking earlier, we see, like, we as the other athletes can see that focus, that determination, and it makes it a little easier to understand why whenever you can see what's going on behind the scenes.
Yes.
That family that you have,
It's awesome.
Yes. So you talked a lot about the great coaching you had growing up, and so I'm sure you got a lot of great advice as an athlete. Yeah. But I'm curious, what's the best advice you've been given as a coach?
Best advice I got given as a coach? That's a really good question. I would say the best advice I ever got, it's not about you anymore, it's about the kids. And
ooh, wow.
I really try to emphasize that. Like, obviously for me, I want to win all the time. I think everyone, if you're a college athlete, but like we're in a very tough conference, we're a tough region, we're still a newer program, so we got to be realistic sometimes with expectations. I build a tough schedule, but I try to, come out in the better end. I think we've had pretty good track record in March to build to that. So we do have some ups and downs throughout the year. We do have a lot of adversity, but I make sure the guys always know, like, I'm proud to be their coach. Mm-hmm. Like, I want to be your coach. Like, I know we're going to be good in the future. And I always put the kids first. Like I took a kid yesterday to get an MRI. Like, he didn't have a ride. And just like stuff like that. Like, whatever they need, they know they can pretty much call me 24/7.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I have their back.
Yes.
Yep.
I feel like our athletic department does a great job at hiring coaches that have that mentality too, because I feel that from like every single coach, not just my coach, not just from you saying it, but like you can really see it in our department.
No,
it's awesome.
I couldn't, like I said, with the community, just all the coaches I work with, nothing but nice things to say.
Yeah.
Like, we're all supportive of each other. We want the best for each other.
Yeah.
Luke Barker, I don't know how big a wrestling fan he is, but he was just like, he came down and talked to me like before regionals for like a half hour, just like how excited he was to see like everything going on here. And, like I said, I don't even know how big a wrestling fan he is, but he was just like, it was just great to have that conversation and kind of get my mind off the weekend. Cause obviously it was, going crazy with everything going on. So that's just one example. Like, I can't say enough about the whole department.
It's awesome. I love that. So Chris, we made it through all of the like deeper questions. And now, Chris, you want to kick us off with the fun questions?
Yeah. Cause like I said before this, I read your bio and I noticed you left something out of this. So ranking the sports that you've played, can you rank them least to favorite?
Ranking the sports, I played a lot of sports in my life. Obviously, honestly, my first passion was football. Like, I loved it. Like, that's all I wanted to do. So I would have put football 1. Obviously, wrestling's 1 now.
Yes.
But, sports I played, like football was definitely 1. I actually really enjoyed baseball. Baseball was 2 probably for me. I did lacrosse as well. That actually was just kind of like a funny thing. Like, I kind of just joined it late, and like my buddies from wrestling team and football team, they needed bodies, so I did it, and I had a lot of fun doing it. I actually did play basketball a lot. I did my freshman year in high school. A lot of people don't notice I didn't wrestle in high school. I played basketball. my freshman year.
Crazy.
You know, like my family had a wrestling background, but I knew my dad played basketball, so I was maybe trying to do something. But like honestly, basketball is more fun than wrestling. So like I was like enjoying my freshman year, and then like our high school program was just so good.
Yeah,
like we were always like a top 5 team in the state, and my family was like, you gotta get back on the mat. So like my sophomore year, I went back out, and
I love that.
I kind of stuck. And like even in college, like I was just supposed to play football. They needed big guys. I won my wrestle off, fell in love with the team, the culture, the coaches, and here we are today.
You've done all the sports.
Yeah, I've done a lot.
Oh, this is a funny question.
Okay.
I keep reading the questions and get excited. So, if wrestling had walkout songs like WWE, what would your song be?
What would my song be?
That's hilarious.
The guys always get on me. I'm not a big music guy. I would probably say "Lose Yourself" by Eminem.
Okay,
can't go wrong.
That's what I like that.
But yeah, like and next year we have to get walkout songs for our duels. They always get on. The team always gets on me about it. I know we have a lot going on always with like. What's in the sports info department, so it's tough. But next year, it's on my to-do list.
You're gonna do it.
Yeah,
I love that. That'll be fun for them.
So, what's your favorite hobby outside of coaching?
What is my favorite hobby? I probably would say playing pickleball and golf. They're my probably 2 favorite. When I can, being a full-time dad is obviously a hobby in itself.
Yes.
It's a blessing though. Obviously, I can't say like my wife. She's so supportive. Like during the season, between recruiting, the weekends, everything like that. But you know, she gets into it too. She's a pretty big wrestling fan as well.
I see her at those.
And you know, it's just such a blessing to be a dad as well. I think that actually helped me become a better coach too, in a way, because I want to coach these kids how my son would be one to coached or grown up with. So
I love that.
But yeah, it's definitely a whirlwind sometimes.
Yes.
Definitely golf and pickleball though.
Yeah,
sure.
I Fairmont State administration, in the athletic department at least, loves pickleball.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're always talking about pickleball.
Well, if you guys haven't done it yet, you should try it. It's always in the Falcon Center. You guys are athletes. You can pick it up quick. Honestly, the picking up the rules is the toughest thing. Thing out of the kitchen, when they hit it and stuff. See, there's a kitchen in it. You wouldn't even know.
Nope, did not know.
But yeah, Brian Spitzer has gotten pretty good.
Yes, I've
heard. Brooke plays a little bit. JR, who's in the Falcon Center, her husband, he plays, and it's just a lot of fun. The guys are very frustrated because they can't beat me.
Oh, we have a winner over here.
Yeah, we play 2v1 a lot, and they were close maybe one time. They almost beat me. It was 11-9.
That's you got to wear that crown.
Yeah. Yes, I'll wear it until I get beat.
I love that.
So sometimes when I have a partner, they don't hit it to me. They hit it to the other kid a lot, and they say they beat me, but
no,
not 2v1 yet. So.
I think that should go in your bio.
Yeah, that has to in your bio. Yeah.
All right, I'll let RJ know.
RJ know. We'll send him an email.
That's
so, what would you be or want to be if you were not a coach?
If I was not a coach, what do I want to be? Oh, going to be involved in this. I would want to be on radio, sports radio.
Really?
I love all sports. I follow it all.
Yeah.
Like, the only sport I really don't follow as much is soccer because I was a football player, so I wasn't the biggest fan of it. But obviously, World Cup, big events I follow.
Yeah.
I love talking sports. I can talk sports all day.
Same. That's why I think we ended up here doing this podcast.
Yeah.
Because we just talk all the time.
Also to note, I don't even know if you guys know this, my twin brother, who I mentioned earlier, we run a podcast. We run a Division III wrestling podcast.
That's awesome. Okay, we'll plug it.
Where can we find it?
Yeah.
It's on all, major Apple Podcasts, Spotify, everything.
We're gonna have to talk to you.
It's actually pretty simple to do. Like, we just have a passion for it. We started it when COVID happened.
Okay.
We were just bored. We always talk wrestling, and it's grown. I think we're like almost 125 episodes deep.
Wow.
And we won Wrestling Podcast of the Year last year.
Oh my gosh.
Put that in the bio, RJ.
What the heck? Yeah.
It was actually kind of crazy. Like, the guy that runs everything, like with wrestling media, he's like, yeah, you guys are finalists. Congrats. I mean, we were like, all right, awesome. Sweet. And we didn't think anything we were going to win because we're with all the big dogs. Like, there's like Flow Wrestling's obviously the major media market, but we beat them out. And our championship was a frosted mug that said Wrestling Podcast of the Year.
That is hilarious.
That would have been a good hobby too.
Yeah, that's insane. All right.
But I think that's going to wrap up our recap here. wrap up the interview.
All right. So our upcoming events, it's a busy month, so this might take a second. But starting on March 12th, golf at the Gannon Invitational, baseball versus Clarion University, and softball at WVU Tech. March 13th, golf at Gannon Invitational. March 14th, basketball at NCAA Atlantic Regional, wrestling at NCAA National Championships, and softball versus California University of Pennsylvania. March 15th, basketball is at the NCAA Atlantic Regional, wrestling is still at Nationals, softball versus West Virginia Wesleyan, and baseball at Glenville State University. March 16th, basketball NCAA Atlantic Regional, tennis versus Bloomsburg University, softball versus Davis and Elkins, and baseball at Concord University. March 17th, basketball NCAA Regionals, still there. March 18th, basketball is still at the Regionals. Baseball versus Shepherd University, tennis versus Lafayette College, and softball at Chestnut Hill College. March 19th, softball at Shippensburg University, and acro and tumbling at Azusa Pacific University. March 20th, tennis versus Benedict College. March 21st, baseball versus West Virginia State. March 22nd, softball versus Point Park University, and tennis versus Shaw University. March 23rd, men's golf at MEC Spring Tournament, softball versus Salem, baseball versus University of Charleston, and women's tennis versus Slippery Rock University. March 24th, men's golf at MEC Spring Tournament, women's basketball NCAA Elite 8, and women's golf at Cal PA Vulcan Fire Classic. March 25th, women's basketball NCAA Elite 8, women's golf at the Vulcan Fire Classic, men's basketball NCAA Elite 8, and baseball at Indiana University of Pennsylvania.
Lizzie, go take a deep breath.
Thank you. That was a good one.
So, Coach, I feel like we don't even have to ask you. What are you most excited for coming up?
Yeah, obviously, we're excited for nationals.
Yes.
This year it's D2 Festival of Sports. So actually indoor track and swimming. So I was hoping to swim. I heard there was one swimmer close to qualifying. Is that correct?
Yes, he didn't. He got a national cut, but he didn't actually qualify.
Okay, so yeah, so the swimming championships, they're all going to be in Indy next week.
Yes.
So big week, which is super exciting. Big March for Fairmont State, and I think that does it.
Very excited. And will the wrestling tournament be live streamed?
It'll be live streamed. It'll be on Flow Wrestling, and it'll be on the NCAA website. I'll make sure I have all the links on our social media page, and
for sure,
it's going to be a great week. I'm excited for it.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Yeah. And thank you all for tuning in. Make sure you follow our athletics Instagram at FS Falcons and our SAAC Instagram at Fairmont State _SAAC. Be sure to catch us back here in about 2 weeks. Our spring break is coming up, so we might not be able to record on a normal schedule, but we'll be back with our next guest. And so just make sure you keep a lookout and don't miss what's going on behind the wings. Thank you.
Thank you.